What's up, guys? So, Amazing Spider-Man number 11 comes out on Wednesday, September 3rd. I got a chance to read this over the weekend and just wanted to tell you a little bit about it. This is written by Joe Kelly, and the art is by John Romita Jr. and Pepe Larraz. So, this is the issue that has had a big question mark over it for months. Somehow, there are now two Spider-Men, with one being on the ground in New York, while the other one is in deep space, but we didn't know who's who or why this is all happening. Well, I'm happy to say that this issue gives us the answers to almost all the questions that we have. It explains the end of the previous issue, which had Spider-Man coming face to face with Peter Parker, and each of them accusing the other one of not being who they say they are. This issue reveals who this is and who this is, and I'm really glad that it does. I really didn't think that we'd get those answers for a good while. I thought this book would string us along for several months, and I'm so glad that that's not the case. The first half of the main story is a direct continuation of the end of the previous issue, with Spider-Man facing off against Peter Parker. I'm obviously not going to tell you anything about it, but again, it does reveal who's who and what's what, and sets up the next street level story arc. The second half of the main story deals with the Spider-Man in space. I don't want to say too much about that, but we know from the covers and the solicitations of the future issues that Spider-Man has found himself with a ragtag group of aliens, and this explains how that all comes to pass. I will say that the only question that isn't answered in this issue is how the Spider-Man in space got there. I think it has something to do with the fight with Hellgate from a couple of issues ago, but it's not clear, so hopefully we get that answer soon. This issue also has a short story from Saladin Ahmed and Perry Perez featuring Rapid, the character that we first met in the Giant Size Amazing Spider-Man one-shot, and also a fun short story from Lee Gatlin about Spider-Man showing Ben Grimm how he can use his web shooters for condiment dispensers, which is pretty funny. The current run of Amazing Spider-Man has been a bit of a roller coaster, and I admit that when I first heard about this story of Spider-Man being split in two somehow, with one being in New York and one being in space, I wasn't super thrilled about it. It just didn't sound like the kind of Spider-Man story that I wanted to read. But now that I've read this and I see where they're going, I've got to be honest and say that I really enjoyed this, especially the space story. That just feels fresh and isn't something we've really seen before, at least for an extended period of time. I kind of wish that this and the following issues were only that story, because I think it's the more interesting one, and the artwork on it is gorgeous. So again, this comes out on Wednesday, September 3rd. Let me know if you pick it up, and if you do, let me know what you think about it.